What is up, my good peoples in the stratosphere of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, wherever you're looking at us? What's the good word? It's another edition of the Talking Ball podcast with your boys. I'm your boy Spongerelli with my dog Big Faro in the building.
Yes, sir.
We got a week 9 edition with some big games this weekend, breaking down some of the big ones from last weekend. And like I say, we had a nice slate. You know, obviously the big one, alleged headliner there with the brutal Big Ten basher at noon, the big noon kickoff. And we had a little 3:30 game, but then all those night games were where the menu was full, and it was a lot of good games. You know, I had all the TVs going, and it sucked. You couldn't really zone in on one game, per se. You know, I hate when they do that sometimes. I mean, it obviously it's fun to watch when there's a lot of juice on at one time, but I like it when it's a little bit better.
It could have been better staggered.
Yeah,
between 12 and 3.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that the early slot literally was just Penn State and Ohio State, and obviously you had a little tight one there with the Oklahoma UCF game, and then 3:30 window was kind of blah, and then that, like I say, that nightcap was pretty good. So
yeah.
We'll jump straight into it, man. The Canes, baby, pull out a big win on the road, or at home, I should say. And you text me before the game, Tyler Van Dyke wasn't going to go. I had no idea he was even banged. I mean, I knew he's been banged up, but I had no idea that there was even an inclination of him not even playing, even when we talked last Wednesday afternoon.
Right. Yeah. They like you say, everyone knew he was banged up from the game before. And even Mario said in his post game, like, they thought he was going to play. And I saw the news a little earlier in the day. It was around the 3:30, 4 o'clock game. And they said he was going to be a game time decision. And he went out for pregame warmups, and they were just like, just sit this one out. But I guess the good thing is they kind of had to have an idea that there was a possibility he wasn't going to play, because they said Emory Williams took a lot of first team snaps during the week during practice. So that I guess that was an inkling of, okay, there's a possibility he may play, may not play. I'm sure they were just giving him rest to let him heal up. But yeah, Emory Williams stepped in and got the job done. It was kind of ugly, but he got it done.
Yeah, well, like I said, going in, I'm like, I felt like going into it, we talked about it last week. I was like, this is Miami's game to win. I felt like Miami had the better team. You know, I was definitely banking on Tyler Van Dyke being out there. Yeah. So when he was not available, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, this is gonna be a tall order now, because I don't know what this kid's gonna do at quarterback. You know, Clemson has had their ups and downs all season a little bit, early in the year with the turnover game against Duke, and then, the game against Florida State where they were kind of in it and, let Florida State steal it at the end there. And then they've kind of just been so-so in some of the other games they've played. But I mean, Dabo still recruits well, so they still got dudes. Their defense had been really good, so it was going to be, okay, what can Miami's offense do? Can they get the ground game going? Now you don't have Tyler Van Dyke in the game. What does Emory Williams do? And you kind of look inside the numbers, and he didn't light it up, but he hit some big plays late in the game, to keep drives going on some of those third downs that I thought was pretty impressive. And, your defense came to play. Clemson, for all intents purposes, played pretty well too. Like I said, it was a great game. I thought freaking the tight end, man, Brenningstool, he was a beast, man. He was a problem. They split him out wide. They kind of ran him up the seam. They did all kinds of stuff to get him the ball, just because we talked about Clemson's lack of kind of star skill power on the outside. Yeah. But I thought Miami's game plan was pretty good. It's kind of wild there. Clemson, early in the game gets to the freaking 1 yard line and fumbles the ball, going into the end zone. It was like a little cliche of what they've done, turning the ball over on the goal line.
The good thing is great thing. The one thing positive to say about the ACC refs is they didn't blow it down. They let it play out. James Williams was able to get on the ball. I mean, he was on top of the ball and just didn't realize he was on top of the ball.
Yeah, I don't think anybody even knew the ball got fumbled except Shipley.
Yeah, you saw Shipley's head going all over the place, and I think that's when it hit James Williams. Like, all right, if he's looking around like this and they haven't blown the whistle, maybe the ball's out. But yeah, overall, when you think about it, like you say, going into the game, you're like a true freshman. Good thing it was a home game, starting at home. You knew the playbook was going to be vanilla as vanilla could be. You know, a lot of screen passes, a lot of runs, and we were able to run the ball. Got over 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is when he was throwing the ball, even though they were getting the ball out quick, the offensive line did a great job of keeping him upright. He really didn't get hit, really didn't get pressured. Shannon Dawson said he called the game of his life. He said that was the hardest game he's ever called in his life, just because you got to keep it vanilla. You can't let the kids just go out there. I mean, the one pass he threw deep, his one interception, that was just a miscommunication between him and George.
Yeah.
George was running out. Emory thought he was running a post, and he was running a vert.
Yeah.
He just converted his route at the last second, where Emory thought he was, going to run that deep post, and he didn't. But that last drive, the last drive of the game, where we had to, well, I'll get to that in a second. But I felt like Miami was in control for most of the game, to be honest with you. And like you say, the tight end, it looked like the secondary was focused in on the receivers. They were passing them off. They were doing a great job of covering the guys. And then the tight end was the guy that killed us this week. And, I saw a lot of Miami fans mad about the 2 touchdowns he scored, but they were a hell of a pass. They were great.
No, that threw Klubnik threw on that first one was like, on the money. I mean,
Cloyd couldn't do anything else.
He was in great coverage. I'm talking about it was like literally just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, he just made a play. I fell on a 50-50 ball. I mean,
yeah, he went up and got it over James Williams, and they call it incomplete at first because they didn't think he got his foot down, but he got his knee in. They were just 2. It was great passes and 2 hell of a great catches.
Yeah, no, and I think too. What I thought, obviously, first play of the game for Miami, Brashard Smith stepping in there has been phenomenal. That I mean, I've always loved that kid. Like I say, coming out of high school.
Yeah,
I'm talking about he's got some burst jetpack that you could just see
hold
it.
On to the ball.
That's what I'm saying. That was pretty wild. An event where you get a Shipley fumble, you get the ball, and then you get an 80-yard run. You fumble at the 1. Great job by George to. That was on the replay. They're talking about it. That's where a teammate might just stop running because they're like, my guy's out of there. Instead, he was hauling tail, trying to get a block late. Just right on top of it, ball's loose, boom. That was huge.
If you watch it, Smith was like, I guess he was trying to change the ball to his left hand because he saw the guy on his right side coming, and the guy just timed it up perfect when he was moving the ball. And like you say, hell of a play by George to get on it.
Yeah, no, but I think adding Brashard Smith to the backfield a little bit, getting him some carries, getting him the ball on those quick screens, like all that stuff was good. Chaney and AJ Allen were able to get some, over 100 yards combined with those 2 guys. Yeah. And, just the combination of, just timely passes late in the game, those third down conversions were big. The other wild stat too is just, Clemson, that you shut Shipley down for the most part. I was impressed more so watching Klubnik more on his wheels. Like that dude can get out of there. Yeah. But,
31 yards rushing.
Yeah. The crazy part too is just Clemson, their execution on like the 1 or 2 yard line this season. I mean, they literally twice against Duke, they were at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Twice against you guys, the overtime play. Yeah. To where like they came up with no points on 4 possessions inside the 2 yard line. Just poor execution, poor play call, all that. But all in all, the Canes definitely did what they needed to do to get it done to get the win. Like I say, it was a thriller. Back and forth that last couple minutes of that game, getting in range to get the field goal, and then sending it to overtime.
Yeah, that drive right there, I wanted to highlight that on that drive, he hit Kobe Young, 3rd and 13.
Yeah, I knew
6 minutes left.
He converted like several third downs on that drive.
3rd and 8, the skinny post. It was a skinny post he hit him on, and then the jump ball on the right side where it was like 3rd and 8. We're 4-12 yet, where previously Kobe Young dropped the deep ball where the DB played it perfect too. He got his hand in there and he ripped it out, and you're like, man, that could have been big. But he was able to get up in the air and cradle it in the air and like, well, if I'm going down, the ground's not going to cause a fumble. This guy's not getting it out, and he was able to bring it down. And then, like you say, just to be able to get down the field, kick the field goal, take it to overtime. And overtime, the running game, like I said, the second half, the running game really picked up more than the first half. So they were able to run the football. But the other thing to highlight before we talk about overtime was Ruben Bain.
Yeah, no, he was a monster, dude. He was a monster.
8 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and he threw a Clemson defender out of his way as he was going in for a sack. He was just a man amongst boys, and the kid is good. Him and Leonard Taylor pretty much were in the backfield the whole night. The whole night they were in the backfield, and I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, no, Bain was a monster. Here's a
Yep.
crazy one of the crazy non-calls you got was that damn safety right before the half.
That was terrible.
Dude, so if you get that safety, Borgales is kicking a game winner. They're kicking a game winner there to win.
How for the life of me, we've talked about this.
I'd love for the ACC conference call. I don't even know if they said it. We missed that one. We missed that one.
That was terrible. He's running and his
whole entire body was in the end zone.
And then the guys on the broadcast, we don't have camera angles. It's 2023.
Yeah.
How do we not have more camera angles in any big time college game or all NFL games? I don't care if it's on the ACC network. If ESPN is broadcasting, there should be a way to figure out camera angles. It goes back to last week with South Carolina and Florida. When Legit caught the ball on the sideline, they were like, we don't have the right camera angle to tell if he stepped out or not on the big pass play where they got down the field. And you're like, how do you not have camera angles? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And then there was 2 intentional grounding calls. One they did call, one they didn't. It was just like, dude, he's in the tackle box. Yes, he throws it up in the stands, but it didn't go past the line of scrimmage. And you're just sitting here, and even the broadcasters are like, that's a clear intentional grounding net. And it's just week after week with the ACC officials. And I mean, just officials in general.
I was about to say, I think it's officials across the board everywhere.
Even in the NFL, they were bad this weekend. The whole weekend, they were bad.
Yeah, no, it's officiating. Has been pretty awful in all.
Football. And then, what do you think about Dabo throwing Klubnik under the bus?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of questionable too. I mean, he was just questioning everything, and then his comment about suicide watch with the sports psychologist was like, what are you doing, Dabo? Then he even said something about. Did you hear the quote where he said something about, maybe we need to lose a few more to get some people off our bandwagon or something? It's just like, when would you ever say we need to lose games? Sometimes Dabo's comments all the time are a little bit questionable. What are you thinking, buddy?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the leeway just because he's won 2 national titles, but this is just a bad year.
You put Klubnik in a bad position where, you're saying, he should have handed the ball off. I thought Basaint and Flagg played on that last play of the game.
Yeah.
Even if he handed it off, Basaint was already going in. They both played it perfect on the outside. To where they're like, all right, if you're going to run it, he's going in to take you. And he pulled it, and Flagg made a hell of a play. But you got to at least have a receiver right there to say, receiver tight end, to give it a run pass option to where you could even throw it. But once he pulled it, and you're just like, well, where is he going to go? Yeah. He wasn't going to make a move on Corey Flagg.
No, for sure.
I mean, any good linebacker that starts in Division I probably is 9 times out of 10 going to make that play.
Yeah, like I say, the whole deal with, Clemson basically 4 times this season, twice against Duke, and then the 2 times against you guys, they literally, lined up in shotgun every single snap, and were unsuccessful every single time, whether it be the RPO game, which is primarily what they did in all of them. They fumbled Duke, then the last play, the overtime, whether it was Klubnik's fault on giving or going, it was pretty much covered up. So ultimately, in my opinion, if you're in a game, not necessarily going back to the Duke game, all right, you're just going to run your offense because it was still early when they did that fumble or they didn't get in early. But when you're in overtime and it's all for the gold here, you got to dial up your best 2-point play, your best play, your best, give me something good than just their basic RPO where I'm hoping that my guy's faster than your guy to the edge.
Well, what's crazy is we talked about this early in the season after the Duke game. I think it was the Duke game and maybe another game. This is not the offense Garrett Riley, I think it's Lincoln Riley's brother,
it is.
Ran at TCU. There's no way you can sit here and tell me the guy's been touted as one of the best OCs, and so many people wanted him in the offseason, and this is the offense he's running. I mean, I get it. He's running Dabo's offense and this and that, but at what point do you say, I got to turn the reins over and let this guy run his offense? That point 1. Point 2, going in the transfer portal, which he refuses to do, and get guys and get dudes because it's still Clemson.
Yeah.
They're still going to be able to attract some guys that have probably felt like, well, Clemson was on my list when I came out of high school. I made a decision. I went somewhere else, but I probably want to go to Clemson because it's still Clemson. You know, like you say, you just can't. You got to get hip with times, and that's just what it is. In order to have playmakers, sometimes you got to go out and get a guy from a Buffalo or whatever.
The other thing I'll say too, talking about Clemson and just where they are, you know, obviously, you know, Dabo, like I said before, you know, 2 national championships, all that, you're going to get like a pass. You're the guy. You've turned Clemson into a powerhouse program. You recruit well, you know, so yeah, going into the portal and all that stuff. But, you know, what I can go back to saying is, you know, you also had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence as your quarterbacks for, you know, like almost a 7 to 8 year span when you won those national. You know, so like now, yeah, I mean, he didn't win him a national title, but when you like Klubnik was a 5-star, but what I mean by that is you hit on having a Deshaun Watson and a Trevor Lawrence
for sure.
and turning out to be really good. DJU, not so much. Cade Klubnik, jury's still out, but you're not getting those, you know, Justin Rosses and, you know, the Travis Etienne's as your stud playmakers right now. You know,
I mean,
Travis Etienne versus a Will Shipley.
That could have been a problem with DJU. Who's he throwing the ball to?
No, 100%. So, you know, like this is just a down Clemson team, and you know, combos with your personnel and your players not being up to snuff, and then everybody else getting a little bit better. You know, so that's a recipe for. And then when you turn the ball over like you do against a Duke,
but I'm sure you were surprised too, just how both lines of scrimmage for Miami dominated the game.
Yeah,
they dominated the game, and I'm like, man, this is weird to see.
Right, because normally normally see that Clemson D line. Even you know, you think about all those NFL guys, Dexter Lawrence's, and all those guys. You know, Brandon Brissy, all those guys from the past, where you watch a Clemson game and their D line is like ferocious after the quarterback. You know, shutting the run game down, all that, and like I say, it's not. And, you know, going back, this is their 3rd loss, you know, and I think there's more losses on the horizon. They play Notre Dame in 2 weeks. They get North Carolina late in the year. Then, you know, they got to play their, you know, rival in South Carolina, the ACC SEC matchup every year. So, you know, South Carolina's got such a bad year. That's like their Super Bowl, you know. It's so
Super Bowl.
You're talking about a potential 7-5 team, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so.
But before we move on, the positive though, like I say, back to my Canes.
Yeah.
First time we've beaten
Clemson. This isn't a Clemson podcast.
First time we've beaten them since 2010. 4 games. We killed the 4 exercise the demons on another team. You know, so it was great to get the win. It was great. Emery got in there. He didn't look rattled. We still got to figure some things out with the tight ends and running backs. And like you say, if the offensive line can protect TVD like they did Saturday, but I think a lot of that too is going forward. Shannon Dawson's like, well, maybe we just got to get the ball out even faster with Tyler.
I mean, that's a good recipe. That's a good recipe.
And run shorter routes, and we could get the offense humming because we still haven't really hummed like we need to since Texas A&M.
Right. No, and like I say, your schedule sets up pretty interestingly. Obviously, we'll talk about who you got this week coming up and, you know, before FSU in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, like, you know, this is where these next 2 weeks before Florida State, this is where you need to fine-tune those things and figure some stuff out, you know. And so, obviously, you got the upset-laden Virginia Cavaliers you got to go play. So, you know, we'll definitely dive into that one here in a little bit. But the other big game that was basically right side of that in the ACC going on at the same time was the Florida State Seminoles, baby, playing at home, a raucous Doak Campbell against the Dukies of the Duke Blue Devils, and they came out 38-20 victors. And I thought they, you know, dominated the second half. You know, it sucks going in. We knew a healthy Riley Leonard, this game would be, you know, was he even going to play? You know, what would the Duke offense look like with a healthy Riley Leonard? If he didn't play, what were they going to look like? We knew that Duke's defense was pretty good from all their games so far this year. So it was like, how much can that Duke defense keep them in the game, and can their offense make some plays? And, you know, I thought for the most part, Duke came to play. They shot their shot. Riley Leonard gave it a go. He was gutsy in that game. He played really well. But as soon as he went out in that third quarter, it was a wrap. And Florida State took full advantage of that and just groundswelled them there in that fourth quarter. And it was, all
they knew they weren't going to do anything. Just rewatching the game. And like you say, Duke came out and the defense was lights out. Those 2 4th and 1s, their D line manhandled the Florida State offensive line for majority of that game.
Yeah,
they weren't really blitzing. They were beating them up. And even on the flip side, the Florida State D line was kind of like unimpressive until they really start getting those blitzes going. Yeah. They had to start blitzing a lot more, and it was like concerning. Like, all right, the Florida State defensive line that I've been touting the whole year is starting. I mean, like you say, you're going against a very experienced Duke offensive line. They're pretty good. They want to run the football. They really don't throw a ton of passes. And just to see Florida State, both lines of scrimmage, struggling with Duke. And the other big thing that they shored up in the second half was the outside contain.
Yeah, they definitely they let those big runs get outside, especially that first touchdown run. Well, it was kind of all day. Even the edge players were either getting outflanked, and Duke was able to bounce it on a couple different plays. Even like Riley Leonard's big scramble in that second quarter. He basically, I think it was Verse might have went in too far inside. Yeah, they were bringing like a safety blitzer. Mm-hmm. He saw it, got upfield. You're like, okay, this guy's scrambling on this bad leg. He picked up a big gainer. Like Duke was moving the ball pretty well. In the first half. I thought on the ground. I thought the big deal was when they got inside. Basically, right before the half, they had to settle for 3 when they couldn't get in the end zone. Yeah, and then
good goal line stand.
That's what I'm saying. Like they had multiple. They had the other time was coming out of in the third quarter. We've hashed this one out. Talking about should they go, should they not? It was literally when Riley got hurt. They were up 3. Got inside the 5. This was their second trip down inside the 5, and they had the backup quarterback in. They go for it, don't get it. And then it was all she wrote.
I just don't.
We can argue this one out here.
No, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
My point is this: you're up, 20-17 in the game, right? 23-17 gives you that 6-point lead. My backup quarterback's in the game. I got to shoot my shot right here because guess what? I don't even think we can get back down here ever again. So we got to get as many points as we can to make up for the differential of where we are as a team. So what happens? You're like, okay, well, if you don't get it, then make them drive 95. My defense has been playing good. Maybe we can get a stop and get some field position, whatever. So guess what? They didn't execute the fourth down play, and then their defense went to shit, and they went right down the field 95 yards. And guess what? They never got anywhere near the goal line or red zone ever again.
I don't think it was that simple, though.
I mean, it's just if you're Duke, you're a 14-point underdog. You're playing in a game where you kind of have been in the game and you've taken kind of like.
But hold on, let's go. But let's go through the whole thing. Yeah. Riley Leonard got hurt with 6 minutes left, right?
It was about like 8.5 minutes in the third quarter.
I just watched it not too long ago. It was a little bit over 6. Because they got the personal foul that got them in.
Yeah, they got the face mask on the play. He got hurt. That was the face mask play. He got hurt on that play.
So they didn't run the second. They didn't run. They didn't kick Florida State didn't get the ball until the fourth quarter. So they ran the clock down.
No, I'm telling you, it was still the third quarter when they kicked that field goal.
They didn't kick the field goal.
When they went for it, it was still in the third. It was still in the third quarter.
What the kid stats? So you trust a guy that went 1 for 7 in the game? How many passes do you think he's thrown this season?
Yeah, he threw like 16 last week, and he only completed 4 of them. So, I have no confidence in the kid at all.
Exactly. So now you're telling me you should go for it. If Riley Leonard's in the game, I get why you're going for it. But if you go up 6, even if they go down the field and score, you're only down 1 point.
Yeah, well, guess what? You already lost the game because you're down 1.
Not
because it's 24-23. You're losing.
Yeah, no shit, Sponge. But what I'm saying, you can't say you never, because what if they get the ball back and they're getting field goal range?
Because they never would have with that quarterback who just went 1 for 7.
But what if you get a turnover?
What
You've
if?
gotten
What
turnovers.
if? What if? Like, I get all that, but like, my thing
No,
is,
but
you're
you can't.
down there
In that moment, you can't say that.
You
You
roll the
take the
dice.
three. No, you don't. You take the three.
3 points just
You
gives you
go.
a slow death, which is what they got anyways.
I'd rather a slow death than just giving up the game.
They didn't. You got to take a
give
chance.
Up the game.
You got to roll the dice. You're a 2 point.
You gave up the game.
So you lost the game on that. Up. No way. No way. No how.
But that's what you're saying too. You're saying about them not going for it. They lost the game right there.
It was because they were basically going to lose it anyways. So why not go for the gusto?
That's terrible logic to think of like that. If you go up 6, even if they score, you're only down 1.
Yeah. And what did they do on offense? The game. What did they do on offense the rest of the time?
I get that. I agree
That's
with you that their offense
my point is they were never going to move the ball. So Mike Elko's got to be thinking, we're never going to get down here again. I got to try to go for 7.
So you're also saying you're giving up on your defense too. That's pretty much what you're saying.
No, because what you're saying is my defense has played well. Let's make Florida State go 95 yards.
And they did. It was a methodical 97. It wasn't like they ran down the field.
No, I know they hit big plays. Jordan Travis. The big difference in the third and fourth quarter on those drives was Jordan Travis running.
They didn't score that touchdown until like, what was it? I think it was like 10 minutes, 11 minutes. So it wasn't like a quick get down the field in 95 yards. My thing is, even if you score right there, you go up 3, you go up 6, they get the ball, you make them drive down the field. Even if they go up 1, I agree with you. The quarterback wasn't going to do anything, and Florida State was pretty much going to blitz the rest of the game. But logically, you're saying, all right, we're still in the game. You're still in it.
The problem was when Riley Leonard goes out of the game, you have your faith in your offense is like, man, we are never going to get down here again. We're never going to score again.
So what makes you think you were going to score right there?
I mean, hell, the sad part was the guy was open and he threw it to a close spot, but he missed. Like, it was bad.
My point exactly. Terrible. You're trusting a backup that's only thrown the ball 26 times for the season. You're trusting him to come in to make that play.
You got to do that.
That's the point.
That's what you got to do.
But he did.
Just like Andrew Williams, you got to trust this guy to make a throw. Like, if you want to win a game, you got to trust this guy to make a throw. That's all I'm saying. Like, if they kick the field goal, they're great. They lose the game 38-23.
You never kick. You as Andrew Franklin would never kick a field goal. If it was up to you, you wouldn't even have
2
a
every time. We're going for 2. Exactly. Onside kick. We're doing all of that.
It makes no sense. The logic tells you to take the 3 and go up 6. You're still in.
Doesn't tell you anything. It's basically a personal preference. It's a choice, and like there's no analytics or this, that, and the other. Okay, my thing is the feel of the game.
That's why Brandon Staley's ass is about to get fired with the Chargers because of analytics.
I'm not Dan. I consider it more of a Dan Lanning approach than a Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley makes all kind of wild cards.
I'm glad you brought up Dan Lanning. You know the difference between that game and this game? He still had Bo Nix in the game to run the damn ball to get the first yard, the first down.
Right. You're right.
They had Bo Nix in the game.
My Riley Leonard. You're in a sense making my point. You're in a sense making my point that we're never ever gonna. This is our last opportunity to maybe score a touchdown. So like, at least this will put us up 10, and we have like a double score lead to where maybe our defense does get a turnover.
That's what you're hoping.
Exactly. If with a fifth, just like you're like, if you get a turnover,
there's no way in the world you're gonna sit here and tell me you had confidence in a backup that's thrown 26 times.
I definitely didn't. I definitely did not have confidence.
So why wouldn't you take the 3 to go up 6?
Because I knew that you were not going to stop Florida State again, like multiple times in that quarter, because you were never going to score again.
Okay,
so my thing was to go up 2 possessions instead of being up 1. They go down to score a touchdoon.
So if they did stop it, they did stop them the next possession. You're still up 6. So you're still in. You're still in the game.
100%. But for you to tell me that Duke was going to move the ball at all or go 3 and out every time, where Florida State would not either get a touchdown for the rest of the game, is asinine with that offense. They were going to score again. It was just a matter of how much. So regardless, being up 6 was only going to get you lost. It was only going to get you an L. That's it, because they were going to go down and score regardless. 24-23.
That's not true.
Ball game would have been 24-23.
That's
ball
not true.
game.
That's not true.
How is that not true?
That's not true.
Florida State was moving the ball.
You're still in the game. I get Florida State was moving the ball. I get that. But you're saying your defense, hey guys, we're up 6. We're still in a good position. let's get another stop somewhere.
Yeah, what did Duke do after
they didn't do anything after.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You
basically were putting your defense in a bind, basically, to be like, all right, come on, backup quarterback, get us down there again.
I get that,
we're down one. All we need is a field goal.
But what if somehow they would have got a turnover and kicked the field goal and went up 9?
Yeah, exactly. What if all that stuff?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's where it doesn't make sense to go for it right there with a backup quarterback.
I guarantee you,
if Riley Leonard's in the game, I say go for it.
I guarantee you all the coaches in America to win up for it right there.
I highly doubt that.
I mean, we don't know because
I highly doubt that.
We're playing Monday morning quarterback on a Tuesday.
I highly doubt every coach in the United States would have went for it right there.
I bet it's more than less. I bet more went for the touchdown than less. Is all I'm saying.
You're guessing.
So, like I say,
you're guessing.
Conservative versus aggressive.
No, it's not conservative. It's common sense.
A 6-point lead doesn't do nothing for you when basically Florida State, all they have to do is score a touchdown to win. Like that's basically
it still gives you a chance, because what if they would have stopped, Florida State scores and go up 4 and they never score again, so they win by 4?
Who scored? If Duke would have scored the touchdown?
No. If Florida State would have went down the field and scored like they did, and they never scored again,
yeah, they would have won 24-23. No, they wouldn't have.
No, Duke only scored 20.
I know. So you're saying if they would have kicked the field goal?
What I'm saying, no, by your logic, if they went for it, they didn't score, and they was stuck at 20, Florida State goes down the field and scores, and then the defense stifles Florida State the rest of the game, and then you put the offense in position, you have to score a touchdown.
Yeah. But
because three is out of the question.
Yeah, you're right. But again,
so how does that make sense?
Because you still got to score regardless. But again,
if
thing is
up 6 and you stop their offense after they score a touchdown.
You just said we didn't
still in field goal range.
You just said we didn't take the field goal. You just said it. You just said if Florida State goes down the field, so it's still 20.
Hold on. Let me say it again.
20 to 17.
Let me say what I said again.
It would basically 24-20.
They didn't go for it. They went for it. They didn't get it. Florida State goes down the field and scores. It's 24-20.
That's what they did.
And Florida State never scores again, and Duke has opportunities, and they get the ball last. They're down 4. They have to score a touchdown to win the football game. They're not even in field goal range.
There was still an entire fourth quarter to go.
I know. I get that.
Like Duke was never going to score again.
Another reason why you kicked the field goal, because you still have a whole another quarter.
Not with your backup quarterback. That's my whole point. Like my whole point is you're saying you're scared to run a play at the 5-yard line to make a guy make a play versus a whole entire quarter of this kid who can't throw.
So hold on,
the broadside of a barn at all.
There was a goal line stand in the first half where you had your starter in and they couldn't score. They had to take 3. So now you have confidence all of a sudden in a backup.
That was the other big part of the problem too, is they got down there again and had to settle for 3. They got a penalty. They had a penalty that backed them up.
But you still had to settle for 3 with your starting quarterback.
But that wasn't at the 5-yard line. They had to kick that. They were at the 5 and couldn't get in, and then they got a penalty and it backed them up. They were at the 20.
I get that. But for the most part, the Duke offense was kind of Anyway, they had a big touchdown on
their numbers. Their numbers were terrible. Even Riley Leonard's numbers weren't good. They were consistent moving the ball down the field, but they weren't.
16 with 69 yards.
Florida State hit the bend but don't break, and when they got down inside the red, they were tight. They were tough. So. But my thing is when you're in a game like this that you're not expected to win, your quarterback's banged up. This is your shot. This is your closest shot. This is your best opportunity to go up 10.
If you haven't done it the whole game, you're going to magically do it then.
I mean, the kid had only been in there 3 plays, so you're like, make this kid make a play.
even where it makes no sense. If he's just got in the game, you're sitting there telling me you should go for it.
It's not like the kid, like you say, he played last week the whole game, but he didn't play well. He's young. But my thing is, make a play, kid. Let's go up 10. Let's go up 10 to give us a better chance to win. Like I say, my thing is, you're just basically saying, hey, if we don't go for this and we just go for the field goal, we're going to get beat anyways because we can't stop these guys anymore. We can't move the ball anymore. We're not going to score anymore. This is our best opportunity to take a 10-point lead, a 2-score lead this is our best opportunity.
You're hoping
we can argue. Like I said, we could argue this till the sun comes up tomorrow.
You're hoping you go up 10 and you hope you score when you haven't done it the whole
game. You hope, but that's not true. Like this guy, this was his first series of the game. So it's not like he hadn't done it all game. This was, who knows what was going to happen. The play actually was there. He just missed the guy. The guy was dragging it back across the back of the end zone, just threw a shitty ball like he did all the other times. So
I wonder why.
My thing is,
I wonder why, because he was the backup quarterback that's only thrown 26 times for the season. Exactly. Now all of a sudden you have faith in him to make a play. That makes no sense to me.
Well, that's fine. It doesn't make any sense to you. Go for the gusto. Go for the win. That's all I'm saying. That's what the Gators are going to have to do to win this week. That's what a lot of teams are going to have to do. You got to go for it sometimes. You got to let your nuts hang. Not every time. I don't disagree.
You would go for it every time.
No, I wouldn't. Yes, I know when to go for field goals.
I've known you long enough to know you would go for it every time.
Those are on video games, man. This is real life, man.
Come on, stop it.
All right,
that doesn't.
Moving on. Who cares? Blah, blah. Like, so I'd love for if we did have viewers and people to comment who's right or wrong, who's going for it and who's not. That's all I'd like to say.
It's all about the situation of the game.
Maybe somebody can text us.
No,
maybe somebody can text us in.
Hold on, before we go on, I'm not saying never go for it. All I'm saying is you got to play the situation. In that situation with the backup quarterback who's only been in 3 plays, you take the 3. I can see if Riley got hurt earlier and the kid's been in there and they finally got down in the red zone and he was warmed up. I could see that. But 3 plays in, you're asking this kid to make a big play against that defense in that situation, and you really think you're going to go up 10?
That's what you got to do to win.
I think you're crazy to think that.
That's what you got to do to win.
You're crazy.
That's what you got to do to win. Because if you don't, you're going to lose just like you did. You got your ass splattered because your backup quarterback sucks.
All right, let's go on to the boring game of the week so we can calm down, I guess.
The boring game of this game was so slow. And defenses were the name of the game.
The only highlight of this game
quarterback
was
play.
Johnson yelling Maserati Marv the whole
Maserati Marvin Harrison, baby.
I only got one question for you for this game.
Kyle McCord, baby.
No.
Aller. What you got? Penn State defense.
Neither.
James Franklin.
Yeah, my question is, was it good defenses or just terrible offenses?
I think it was good defenses. I really do. I've been talking about, I thought Ohio State has a really good defense, and I thought Penn State has a really good D. I feel like if these teams played other teams, that defense would travel, and I'd love to see the matchups against, Michigan, Georgia, Florida State. I think these defenses are legit, and I think basically those defenses are forcing those offenses to look like shit. So you disagree with that?
I totally disagree.
So you don't think those defenses are good?
No, I think their defenses are good. I think their offenses are so bad that they wouldn't beat any of those teams.
But why can't their defense be great? And why can't their defenses be like the 2 best defenses in the country? And they're playing against, their offenses are just not good against really good defense. It just can't be that way. It's not that way at all.
I just don't see it. You still got to score points.
I
love Marvin Harrison.
Why can't Ohio State or Michigan win 24-20?
Yeah, you got to score 20. You see Ohio State scoring 20?
Yeah, why not? They just scored 20 on Penn State's defense, who I think is really damn good.
Penn State sucks. Get the hell out of here with this Big
Ten. Is a Big Ten hater, folks. Big
Ten
hater.
That game was terrible. They're terrible. Ohio State's offense hasn't done anything this season where you're like, they're lights out, other than Western Michigan.
Nobody said that. Nobody has said.
How many passes did he throw to Marvin Harrison on Saturday, and how many did he miss? He was Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison was the guy. He caught 11 balls for 162.
How many targets did he have?
I have no idea how many targets
he had. The most targets he's ever had. I think it was close to 20.
Yeah,
and he was all over the place. And when you play better, obviously, Emeka not playing, Ibuka would, if he's not playing against some of the defenses they're going to reach during the end of the year, they're going to double Marv. And who are you going to throw to? You think Cade Stover and Fleming and Tate are going to beat you?
Yeah, those are the guys. Somebody's going to have to step up in that role. I mean, Trayvon Henderson's not being healthy, hurts him on the ground game. Obviously, Mayan Williams played pretty good, but they shut him down because I think they're going up against a damn good defense. I thought on the flip side, I thought James Franklin went away from his strength and just saying basically we're just not going to run the ball because I just don't think we can run on Ohio State. So they just basically abandoned their two best backs and gave them basically 20 carries combined. So it's like you put it all on Drew Aller, who is brand new to the game too. And like I say, it's just my thing is this. You don't like either one of these teams. You haven't liked them all year. We haven't seen Michigan play, so I don't know what your opinion is on them yet still.
Haven't played in a damn body.
Exactly. So I can't.
They're stealing signs.
Yeah, exactly. They're cheating. So my thing is I feel like these are two of the best defenses in the country, and I think they will travel. But like the sad part about it is you're not going to see it because they only have to play each other. So that's round one of the round robin. We'll see what happens when Penn State plays Michigan in a couple. What do you think is going to happen in that one? You think Michigan's just going to roll over them? Think JJ McCarthy's going to go slap off? No way.
Mm-hmm.
No way. They're not going to run. They're not going to run.
Guess what? Even if they don't, the Penn State offense still has to score points.
I know. So what if they win a game 17-7?
Well, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm just saying. So would you give Penn State credit if they won 17-7 against Michigan? A team who's been averaging.
I'll give them a little credit. I just don't see. I don't see them.
I know. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
See them beat Michigan.
I mean, here's the
thing.
I'm
not impressed with Penn State. I'm not impressed at all.
You can't even say like that. Like, here's the thing. Nobody knows really what Michigan even is. They've been dominant against.
Damn body.
I know they've been dominant against
the Big Ten. The only big game the Big Ten could hang their hat on is Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they just beat the number 7th ranked team in the country too. Ohio State beat Penn State. Like they beat the number 7th ranked team in the country. So I mean, I'm sorry it's not the Pac-12 and Oregon and Washington State and Utah and USC and high flying offense. I agree. I don't love Big Ten ball either, but I can respect two teams who I think are really good on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. Bottom line, Penn State, like I say, Ohio State, we talk like they have average at best mid offenses. I think obviously Ohio State has a little more when you got one of the best receivers in the country, when you got some weapons. So like, again, that offense is a work in progress. They're not blowing you away. They're not like last year's offense. Penn State's offense hasn't been great. They didn't do what I thought they should do, which was lean heavily on their run game. But again, I think the defense is what the name of the game was. I think the defense is what dictated the game. And obviously we got to see how good these defenses are against better opponents on offense.
I was supposed to write down this, but let me see if I can go off the top of my dome about James Franklin in this game. I think he's what?
So do you think James Franklin is not good? He's 1-19.
Yeah, he's against top teams.
Yeah,
he's 1-9.
He's 1-19. No, I know he's 1-19 versus like top 25 teams or
top 25
like
teams. He's 3-10 or 3-11 versus Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan.
Do you think he's
only beaten Ohio State once? He's beaten Michigan 3 times.
Do you think
he's been there?
Do you not like James Franklin? Do you think he's overrated?
It's weird because it's weird because I like James Franklin, but I just don't. They're just not good. And I would go back and say the year that they probably beat both of them was the year they went to the Rose Bowl when they had that game against SC when what's my man that plays the backup for the Niners, Sam Darnold. The Sam Darnold year where they went to the Rose Bowl. I think Saquon Barkley was there. That's really their only good year.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, 9,
outside
10
of that.
I know. Like I say, we quantify like so much sometimes, like on like 9 or 10 wins is not successful. I mean, we obviously play for Big Ten and national champions or SEC. I mean, my thing is, I guess when I look at James Franklin is like, would I want him to be my coach? And I'd be like, hell yes, I would.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We get so hung up, not we, but just overall college football fans. Like you say, 9 to 10 wins is a great year. Oh, you have the number one defense. You have the number one this. You do this. You do that. But then when you look at who did you play?
Mm-hmm.
Who did you play? When you're playing in the Big Ten, they only have 2 games a year. Who has Penn State played on a non-conference schedule?
I would say they haven't played a good out non-conference game, but this is one of the outlier years where usually I would say the Big Ten at least has they're not made to be the deepest league. They're top heavy like always, but usually the middle rung is still pretty competitive and pretty decent. Like your Wisconsins, your Iowas, those teams are usually where you're like, okay, Penn State, they're playing. They're not the Ohio. You got that upper echelon tier, and then you got that middle tier, just like all conferences. But like this year, there is none. It's literally those three teams, and then like the next rung would be like Maryland by themselves, and then it's piss poor after that this year. So it's like this is one of those outlier years where you don't really have, so they might have won a nice game against a Wisconsin or Iowa or whoever, Minnesota or something that was ranked, 19th or something, Indiana, just those teams are terrible now. So it's like,
exactly.
My thing about that though is
hanging your hat on.
Well, here's the other thing. When we look at favorites and underdogs and who we expect to win and who we don't, out of those 19 games that James Franklin lost, how many times do you think he was favored in those? How many?
Maybe 3.
None. 1.
So
they won that one that they were favored in. So that means like
tell you everything.
So like they're about where they are. They're not winning. They're not making any upset wins, and they're not favored to win. So that means they're not expected to win. They weren't expected to win those games.
Let me ask you a question. They play 12 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
A season. Every team plays 12 games. If I came to you, you're a Penn State fan, and I said, Penn State, you didn't know anything about the season. You were in Tahiti the whole season, no football, and you came back and you're talking to your other Penn State friends, and they go, we went 10-2 this year. How would you feel?
You would say, well, that's pretty good. That's
just about the record.
That's pretty damn good. I'll take 10 wins, and I know probably who I lost to.
And then I said, yes, we went 10-2, and we lost to Ohio State and Michigan.
That'd be like me as a Gator fan. You could just go that way. Gators go 10-2 every year and lose to Georgia and Florida State. I would be, I'd be happy that we won 10 games, but I'd be like, it's just like going back to that old John Cooper days of Michigan and Ohio State where you can never win the big game against your rival, So yes, you want to win 10 games a year, but you got to find a way to somehow win that big game. You got that, and that's his big problem. He can't win the big game.
You're all right. Let's bring the Gators in it. The next 3 seasons, Billy goes 10-2, 10-2, 10-2, and he loses to Georgia and he loses to Florida State the next 3 seasons. Would you be happy?
I'd be happy, but I'd be mad that we can't get that big win against my rival. But I would say, hey, we're winning 10 games a year. We're going to figure that out. So
stop it. You would be so mad. You're telling me I wouldn't mad.
No, not really. I would take 10 wins. I would take 10 wins. Hell, we can't beat those teams anyways. When was the last time we beat freaking Georgia?
You would be so mad if y'all went 10-2 3 years in a row and you didn't beat Florida State.
Yeah, I know we'd have Georgia. Obviously, we should have the potential, just like how Penn State feels. You feel like if you're banging with everybody, winning 10 a year, and you can't beat those two guys,
against Maryland, Rutgers, Northwestern,
same thing with the Gators,
Minnesota.
Vandy, Missouri.
I mean, but the difference is if for Florida, if you went 10-2, you're like, all right, we still beat Tennessee.
Yeah,
we probably beat Auburn or LSU.
Well, like I say, now it's going to get interesting with the whole new additions.
Yeah, I would. Yes, as a Gator fan, I would be happy if you went 10-2. But as a Penn State fan, there's no way you can sit here and tell me you're happy with being 10-2.
Yeah, because like I say, your main goal is to win a Big Ten game, Big Ten championship, to go play in the playoff, all that stuff. So, like, if you can't get over the hump on the 2 biggest games on your schedule, then but like you just said, he won 4 times against them, so he hasn't been completely shut out. So it's just he hasn't won in the last couple.
He's like 4-13 against them.
Yeah,
and only one against Ohio State.
Yeah, it was the block.
Good.
It was the block kick game. I remember that one.
He's been there 10 years now?
I don't know how long he's been there.
It's been about 10 years. That's not good.
Yeah.
He won the conference. Like I said,
we're going way too long. Way too long on Penn State. We're going way too long on FSU. Should have went for it or not. Duke and
I'm sorry. Like I forgot you're in a rush.
No, it's we've been talking for 54 minutes and like we haven't even got to the final 2.
10 of it got to get cut out.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
Damn internet.
Farah needs to pay for his Wi-Fi, guys. Real quick, USC season's over. Goodbye. You got Emmanuel Acho telling Caleb Williams to sit out the rest of the year. What an idiot, fucking dumbass.
So
but
just quit on your team.
Exactly.
We don't even have to talk about this game.
Let's
just talk about that.
Screw Acho. All I know is this was a good ass game. It was fun to watch.
Yeah,
Utah, Utah had some good fireworks. Bryson Barnes' ground feet run game was what I thought was the difference. USC couldn't stop his ground game, and then they hit some big plays. Caleb Williams. Yeah, he was big too.
I'm talking about 5 catches for 149.
Yeah, I'm talking about the quarterback run.
Like, Barnes, that too.
Barnes killed them with his legs.
247 rushing. SC had. It was weird. As we're watching the other games and you see on the bottom line, you're like, okay, Marshawn Lloyd, 70 yards in the first quarter. Obviously, one was a big run, and then you see the box score, and you're like, 86 yards for the game.
Yeah, he only had 7 carries. Yeah,
it's like, come on, man. But yeah, Caleb Williams, 4-7 against top 25 opponents.
Yeah. Have teams figured him out? Is he not good against good defenses? I don't know.
I think he's just not good against good defense. I think
what's going to happen in the NFL level.
I still think Caleb Williams is good. He's going to be the number 1 pick. I think he just gets lackadaisical with the ball.
Here's the thing now: is he going to for an NFL team? Obviously, you're going to take him at 1 and all that stuff. But is now their question?
Headache.
Right now, he wants to be a part owner of the team. He only wants to go to these 4 teams. It's like where's your mind at, dude?
Yeah. On the money.
And I start looking at too. Just he's one of those backyard quarterbacks too much, man. And I don't know if that's sustainable in the NFL. Because you ain't Patrick Mahomes, dog. So all that running around and throwing back across your body,
as much as Patrick Mahomes looked like he's a backyard quarterback at times, it's still structured.
Yeah, no, yeah. Caleb Williams goes off script a lot.
Yeah.
Now he makes crazy throws, but I mean, is that going to work in the NFL? I don't know. So I'm starting to question that. I'm starting to question it now.
Question a lot.
If you're a Bears fan, do you want him? I mean,
I want them to hold the pick hostage and get as many picks as we can and keep Justin Fields, in my opinion. As a Bears fan, I rather keep Justin Fields and just build. I mean, the biggest problem for the Bears is the offensive line and getting a better defense and getting a complimentary receiver to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Everybody can sit there and say he's the quarterback, but if Justin Fields is getting killed the whole game, now we're talking NFL talk.
I was about to say this is our NFL talk. Let me get a banner for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, but I just rather get that 1st and 2nd pick, Carolina's pick, and we just maximize as much as possible.
I got a question for you. Has Lincoln Riley just completely squandered one of the best Heisman Trophy generational quarterbacks 2 years in a row here by basically just not giving an F about his defense and how bad they've been? And you've basically just wasted 2 of your best seasons. This window has completely shut. I don't know who your quarterback's in. I mean, maybe Caleb comes back because he's got good NIL. I don't know. But
I think it'll be fine. It's Lincoln Riley. They're gonna get those LA quarterbacks to stay home. That's been the biggest thing.
I just don't know if they're gonna until he gets serious about defense, it's gonna be like this every year. So I don't care. I don't care if he keeps getting the quarterback.
Well, I think
you got the best one right now.
Yeah, the biggest problem for SC was just he came in to no talent for the most part. And he was able to bring in a couple guys. He was able to get Bear Alexander. Alex Grinch came over with him. Could it be an Alex Grinch problem? It could be. He could fire Alex Grinch and say,
no, he's going to have someone else. He's going to have to fire Alex Grinch for sure.
Yeah. So I just think you got to get the guys there. You wouldn't think it would be hard to get them to LA, but you got to get the guys there. And I think if he's willing to stay a few more years, I think they're going to be fine. It's just season 2. It's just season 2 of rebuilding, and he's just lucky to have a Caleb Williams.
I just feel like the expectations were high, though, and that's
right after last season for sure. Yeah,
I feel like it's a major disappointment. Even last year, having a Caleb Williams, and you were all the way to the Pac-12 championship.
But on the
you were on the brink. You were in the Final Four. All you had to do was beat Utah on that Pac-12 game Friday night.
But on the flip side of it, you're playing in the Pac-12 this year, where there's 16 teams. And you can easily say 10 of those teams have the best, are probably in the top 50 of offense.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to lose a couple more times.
Yeah. Because they can't stop anyone. I mean, remember we talked about that the other week. We said what happens if they can't stop anyone and Caleb's not playing, or even with the litany of receivers they have and weapons, you would think they would be better. Their offensive line isn't that great either. Their offensive line is decent. It's just okay. But we'll see going forward.
like I say, the other games, that were good. Bama took care of Tennessee in the second half. Joe Milton stinks, like I said before.
He was lights
He
out
played
first
he
half.
played he played really good in the first half, but you got to play, as Ricky would say, 4 quarters.
Yeah.
The
Bama's
other
still
the other
Bama.
the other wild games that were like surprises would have to be, OU having to fend off a UCF on a dumb 2-point play to end the game.
I was not a fan of that play.
Texas, struggled a little bit, and now Quinn Ewers is hurt. So are we going to see our first glimpse of Arch Manning this week?
Nope.
You like Malik Murphy?
Malik Murphy's the guy, I think.
Nah, I liked him coming out of high school too. I saw him in 7-on-7.
I just think he'll get the first shot.
He's
unless
a big
he looks
dude.
terrible. Yeah, unless he just looks terrible.
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see both of them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long Quinn Ewers is out. I still think
it's 2 to 4 weeks.
I still think Texas and the schedule sets up, for the rematch of them. But I mean, you can't mess around. I mean, obviously, you sleepwalk through a game, you can get beat. Obviously,
defense got to step up.
Yeah, talking about your favorite team out west, didn't score an offensive touchdown and won a game. Arizona State's been a scrappy team. Kelly Dillingham's doing a great job out there. Washington, getting the late pick 6 to ice the game,
surviving advance,
and that's where you're like, how the hell does this happen? You just played a team in Oregon at the same place. This wasn't at Tempe. You're playing at home, and you basically you just slept walk through the whole game.
Well, you can say that about. You can say that about OU and UCF.
Yeah, at least those teams were scoring still.
I'm saying, but you had a bye week to get right going into the UCF game. A UCF team that looked pretty bad.
No, UCF.
I mean, John Rice Plumlee came back to play. I know he's been dealing with an injury, but it's around the country, man. You just got to survive in advance.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's
for the most part, because you didn't think Texas was going to let Houston hang with them.
No, I definitely thought they would handle business against.
Hell, look at Carolina.
Yeah, no, that was the one I was going to get to. The biggest upset of the weekend. Obviously, a team who looked like they were about to take the next step. Looked like they were lights out. Played great against the Canes. Drake May was lighting it up.
Hey, the ACC or ACC.
What's funny is, that's where North Carolina fans, they know that game was coming for them, but they thought it wasn't because they had maybe taken the next step to where that wasn't the case. But dude,
Virginia beat them up. They beat them
up. That just took all the luster away from the ACC because now you're not going to have the potential to have a undefeated game. So who's going to get that second spot behind a Florida State, or hopefully a Miami can knock off the Cane or the Knowles, and everybody will have a loss and get some rematches or some one-loss teams getting in or whatever.
For the most part, the Canes control their own destiny. Obviously, they need Carolina to lose 1 or 2 more, which is it's the ACC, man.
I don't think they have to really, because they would have the head-to-head over Florida State. If they beat Florida State, they're in.
Well, yeah. Well, they got it. No. They still need Carolina to lose, and they still need they play Louisville, so they got to beat Louisville. Then Louisville will have 2 losses in the conference. We have 2 losses in the conference.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, we have 2 losses in the conference, so we need a lot to happen.
I'm like, not even to Georgia Tech. Y'all lost to Georgia Tech. I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know how you can forget that one, especially after you text me all the time about kneeling.
It's out of my mind.
Talking about kneeling the ball. I mean, they're theoretically they're not out of it, but they still have task.
No, definitely. Like I say, you got to win out, and then
you got to win.
I mean, North Carolina, they played Duke, but with that backup quarterback in, they can't win.
With no Riley Leonard, they're not. And I mean, Riley was running on the sideline, looked like he could have went back.
I was like, why get your ass back in the game, man?
Elko told him no.
That's dumb. Like,
no, Elko went to him.
Stand back there and stand like a statue. At least you might be able to throw it a little better.
No, he was trying to get back in, and Elko just went up to him like, "No, kid, I'm not letting you back in there. I can't do it." They still control their own destiny too.
Not for your career, man.
Yeah, but you have to though. As a coach, you have to be the one to protect people from themselves. You just. I mean, you go out there with the kid, makes his leg worse than it is, and he's out for the year and career-ending injury because he's protecting his leg, and you have to think about that. I get that sports, we always want to win, but we still got to protect these kids from themselves at times.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel you. So like this week's matchups, not sexy for you guys or the Knowles. I think Florida State beats the Smashes Wake Forest.
Here you go.
You don't think you think Florida State's not?
I'm not sitting here saying that, but after we're 8 weeks in, we're going into week 9. You can't tell me anything is possible or isn't possible.
Florida State ain't losing to Wake Forest. That's not possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
No, I think Florida State's going to win the game. I'm picking Florida State to win, and I would pick Florida State with the 20. But if we come back next week and we say, dang, Florida State only won by 7, it would not surprise me anymore.
I mean, that would surprise me. I think
nope, not me.
Well, we'll see who's right and who's wrong.
I thought UNC would have dog walked UVA last week.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like I say, it's of course. Anything can happen, but I feel like
about that
Florida
game,
State's better.
I agree. Carolina still had like 500 yards of offense.
Yeah, they didn't score when they needed to, and they had too many turnovers.
Yeah, obviously Florida State going into this Wake Forest game exercise their dominance against Wake Forest. Get the run game going, dominate up front. Trenches. This is a trench game where you just want to say we're better than you. We're just going to run the football, get in, get out. Who cares if they win by 20 or not? Get in, get the W, get the hell out. Get ready for next week.
Like I say,
that's the mode they have to be in.
Wake Forest's 4 wins are Elon, Vandy, ODU, and they beat Pitt last week.
Can you pull up Virginia's wins?
Yeah, I'll do that. Last week? I'll do that. I'll do that when we get to when you guys are playing Virginia. So we'll talk about them next. But
that's what I get what you're saying.
They lost to Georgia Tech, Clemson, Virginia Tech. Those are 3 losses in a 3-week span. 2 of those were on the road. Obviously, they're at home.
Then they lose.
It's that good 12 noon game kickoff. Early sleepwalker here.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Wake. This is the game's at noon in Demon Deacon land. Florida State's got to go on the road, but like I say, they beat Elon, Vandy, and ODU.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that Wake Forest is going to upset Florida State. I'm not saying that.
What you're saying is going to be a Clemson 17-12 victory or something like that.
No. I still. All I'm saying is, if Wake made it a decent game, it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing. I should not be surprised by anything how the season's going.
You shouldn't be, but I feel
and guess who's going to be there? ACC officials.
I feel like FSU names their score in this one.
Yeah. They should name their number. They should name their number. I agree with you on that.
Just like you guys should name your number. Is TVD back in this game? 18.5-point favorites at home.
They said
against the newly upset minted Virginia Cavaliers, who finally, like we just said, knocked off North Carolina. Wild one. And Virginia had been just god awful. Talking about them, they had lost 5 straight to start the season, and they finally got a win against William and Mary going into that North Carolina game. It's just
didn't they lose? Who was there? Didn't they have like a really bad loss to like a newly FBS school?
They lost to Tennessee week 1, got blown out. They lost to James Madison.
Yeah.
They got blazed by Maryland. Lost to NC State. Lost to Boston College. Both of those games were field goal games, so they were making progress. And they finally beat William and Mary before they beat North Carolina last week. And like I said, they just, got some turnovers. Drake May only had the one that they kind of controlled. They stopped the run game too. Hampton didn't go off like he did. He had 100 yards, but they still had. North Carolina had a ton of yards. They just didn't
like 50-something carries or something like that.
No, they only. Virginia rushed the ball. Now they ran it for 54 times for 228. And their quarterback was somewhat efficient, but they did enough. They did enough to figure out something. And
well, they have the best wide receiver in the conference statistically in Malik Washington.
Like I say, shocked me because I thought North Carolina was far superior to get clipped on at home versus a team like Virginia. So
for us, we're going to have to stop the running game and watch out for the pass, the play action pass this week. Like I say, statistically, Malik Washington's leading the ACC in receiving, and then Malachi Fields has 32 catches. That's the weird thing. They have 2 good receivers, and then their next receiving target only has 10 receptions. And then they're going to want to run the ball. So in the quarterback runs it a little bit. So we're going to have to come out, and lines of scrimmage are definitely going to be tested this week. Again, can we slow the game down and run the football and put up enough points?
No, like I say, Yeah, Washington had 12 catches against North Carolina. So he's definitely the heavily targeted guy.
Yep.
And I think you guys. The big thing here is not have that hangover effect, like
exactly.
like the Texas A&M Georgia Tech week.
Yeah.
Where you get a big win. You're playing against a lesser opponent, a team who hasn't been very good all year. You won a big game last week, so like I say, hopefully Van Dyke's back because that'll help your offense out even more. Because I feel like just offensively, Miami was one of the best in the country, still is, but with Van Dyke in there, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, and defensively,
I think defensively, you've been playing really good too. It's just a matter
for
of
sure. We just got to cut down. We just got to cut down on the stupid mistakes, the stupid penalties.
Yeah, mistakes is definitely.
That's been the thorn in our side. Even the Georgia Tech game. I mean, both Georgia Tech and Carolina. Just you can't have personal fouls. The coach running on the field, getting unsportsmanlike. Can't you get a big play, then you get a holding on one of the linemen. It goes from a 20-yard, 30-yard gain to now 1st and 20, and you're playing behind the chains. Like I say, that's the biggest thing. If they do all of that, they should be able to go in there and it's a home game. Beat Virginia on the ACC network with ACC officials, and let's see what they come up with this week.
Some ACC officiating. That's Faro's favorite ACC officials.
It's been pretty bad. I think all ACC fans will agree, and it's been going on. Hell, I remember you complaining about when Florida State would come into town and they would bring in the ACC officials.
Yeah, no, ACC officials are not my favorite when we have to play them with Florida State officials for sure. Like ACC officials, I should say, Florida State officials. But yeah, just officiating, like I said,
it's a tough job.
It's tough, and it's been bad across the board.
Mm-hmm.
You had what? I just went back and looked it up. You basically had 8 for 90 last week against Clemson. So
yeah. I mean, speaking of just quickly before we move on to the Gators and the cocktail party, like the Iowa game, I thought that was a bad call.
It was.
I think you caused Iowa a win on a punt return because you're saying the kid put it. I never saw his hand go above his shoulders.
Yeah, no,
he's like waving to tell his teammates to get away, and that's been around forever. Where guys are like, now I guess you just got to yell Peter, Peter, Peter instead of waving your arms like to get away. Nope. I mean, I've seen some of the greatest returners like do the get away, then run up, get the ball, and scoot down the field.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a pretty bad call too.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty BS, pretty BS call.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
It's a home game technically.
I mean, we're the home team this year, Florida, Georgia.
Oh, okay, it'll be a little closer.
The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. We don't call it that, but we call it that, baby. Get your cocktails up, get your beers up.
Let me get mine out of the way, then I'll just let you go.
Are you about to let me go?
I know you're ready. This game, I like Georgia to win. I think the biggest, I know, don't be shocked. The biggest thing for the Gators is playing ahead of the chains. You guys can't, get in those 3rd and longs. Try to run the ball, get ahead of the chains. Protect Mertz. Don't let him stand back there and get banged up. Still take those deep shots on offense. And when you have the opportunities to score, put up your favorite thing. Put up 7s and not 3s. And then on defense, the defensive line's got to show up. The front 7, I should say, they got to show up and stop the Georgia run game and limit Carson to big plays because it's going to be difficult. I'm going to be interested to see what Georgia does with no Brock Bowers. And I mean, Oscar Delp's going to have to step up, and some of these other guys are going to have to step up. And it's one of the biggest rival games in the South. And you throw the records out the windows because anything can happen. You can see all 100 guys run on the field. You can see Noshawn diving over the top. You can see Brandon Spikes on top of a guy, just yelling at him, getting in his face. Like in this game, anything's possible. The timeouts with Urban. I mean, you could go down the list of the great memories of this game. Sam's favorite play, run, Lindsey, run. But I think the Gators got to play a flawless game. And if they could jump up on Georgia, they may have an opportunity. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing is what do you guys do on offense? Can you get some points? Kind of like in that Tennessee game, can you get ahead and then lean heavy on ETN and Ventrell? or Montreal, sorry. But yeah, that's the keys of the game to me is what do you guys do, and what do they protect Mertz, and can you get to stop the running game for Georgia and hit Carson around a little bit?
Yeah, like I say, I agree with what you say. Like I say, what it boils down to me is, what did you learn offensively your last two games where you actually opened it up a bit? Mertz, you kind of like said, hey, all right, the run game, teams can kind of like shut our run game down or get after and stop the run. Obviously, the Tennessee game is where we found success in the run game early in that one. Definitely a fast start is key, I think, to where you can kind of front run it. But what did you learn in those last two games? Obviously, Vandy and, South Carolina, where, I'm glad that they have started opening up. Mertz is a little bit felt more comfortable in the offense. What do the Gators do to say, hey, Mertz, you got to win this one for us, dog? You put us on your back against South Carolina. You made the big plays. You made the big throws. We need that again. So if you're going into the season, what we said was Mertz was never going to win you any big games. He's just an average quarterback, and he's kind of exceeded his expectations. But this boils down to a game where, what are you going to do to make the big throw? What are you going to do to step up to make something happen? And my biggest problem and takeaway of where I think we're going to have the most trouble is third down. And Florida has been awful. I'm talking about sorry as piss on third down. And they've been putting a lot of third down and like longer situations, which is basically means you didn't run good stuff or you didn't run good offense on first and second down. So the Gators on third down conversions, I don't even know if you know it, it's bad. We are 108th in the country. We convert at 33% on third down. Well, guess what? Georgia has the number one third down defense in the country, only allowing 23% conversion rate. And the last three SEC games, they only allowed 19%. 6 first downs were picked up on third down versus Georgia in the last 3 contests that they had in the SEC. So I don't see that changing too much. So you're going to have to be really good on first and second down. And guess what? You're going to have to do my favorite thing. You're going to have to be aggressive when you get down past the 50 and take some chances, because you're not going to beat a team like Georgia, who's as good as they are, without converting on third and fourth down. You're going to have to make some plays on those latter downs to score touchdowns. Take your points when you can get them, but if you're going to have to figure out how to basically get up and stay up, and then just basically stay with Georgia. But I think it's going to be, I think that's a tall task. I think Eugene Wilson's got to have 10 plus touches in the game. He's got to be like dynamic. Can you get ETN and Montreal loose? I have a problem with that. I don't think that our front can create those holes. So what I'm hoping is that's where Mertz is going to have to be good to kind of open that up. So if I'm Billy, I'm coming out slinging it. I like, that it might go down with a blaze of glory. Don't just settle for running right up the middle and getting 2 yards 2 times, and then 3rd and 8, putting Mertz back there to throw it when everybody in the ballpark knows you're about to throw the ball. So he's got to be good in his play calling to where he can try to be a little bit off balance, throw it more on first down, obviously. And like I say, can Mertz make some big throws? I don't know, but that's just offensively. On the flip side, Georgia, to me, is very efficient on offense, and defensively, we've been bad. Even going back to Vanderbilt, it was Vanderbilt. Who cares? They did a good job against Tennessee defensively, but then Kentucky, obviously, they had the bad run fits, and they let Kentucky run all over them. Now, Ray Davis, I think, is a great back. I don't think Georgia's backs are up to their snuff of caliber of back. So can you run fit better and stop the run to basically say, hey, Carson Beck, you got to complete some balls, which he's done all year. That's the thing. Carson Beck has been really good. He's been really efficient, just like Mertz. So, like, do I think we're going to stop them? No, I think we're going to struggle big time. So the only caveat is his safety blanket of a guy who can take over the game, maybe the best player in college football. Brock Bowers not being in there I'm hoping is going to be huge. Now, granted, they got another 5-star in Delp who can come in and maybe be that guy to be like, hey, wait for me to be the guy next year. And Jack Saint has stepped up at receiver. Lad McConkey, He's Ladd McConkey. But I like I say, so both of those are going to be very difficult things to do. Can we stop Georgia? Can we slow their run game down to get to Beck? And on the flip side, can Florida convert third downs? Can they make big plays in the passing game? And those are things where I have high question marks to basically be like, no. And the only way we do that is if we play a flawless game or we win those weird complementary battles. Can we force some turnovers? Can we get a turnover? Can we get a pick six? Can we get a big, punt return to flip the field? What can you do, to get things going in your way to where, Georgia can make a mistake? Because that's what they don't do. They don't make mistakes. They play sound football. And like I say, that their defense might not be as rock solid as it has been or really get after you like they have in the past 2 seasons, but they're still really damn good. And obviously they're really efficient if they're the best team in the country on getting off the field on third down. So like I say, I don't think we're going to win the game. If we do win the game, it's going to be because we do those things I just said. We get the turnovers. We're able to hit some stuff. But like I say, I don't think I'm looking in the neighborhood of a 34-23 type game. Maybe it could get more. It could be 41-23. They get a late touchdown.
You got to play on.
I don't think we win the game. I don't think we win the game.
If you guys could make it a battle to where you're playing on their side of the field, it is opportunity. Do you expect any QB run game out of Mertz? Because that's where Georgia's been having some problems. I'm not saying Mertz is like Thorpe or any of those other guys, but at least a little bit of QB run could possibly help.
I don't think that's in the game plan, but this was a big stat too that I know, and this is for Carson Beck as well. The problem, this is what can't happen. So if Mertz is heavily pressured on, like, say we're throwing it on first and second down, those early downs, he cannot take sacks. He's got to throw it away, get rid of it. He can't take the big losses
to
put us in. We can't be at 2nd and 6, and then we're going to drop back and throw it, and him get sacked, and it's 3rd and 17. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. He's got to – that's one big problem he's had, holding on to the ball too long and not getting rid of it and taking those sacks. So that hidden yardage in, like, his run game, as you would say, where he's not really RPOing and anything like that. But if he can, like, this is one thing Georgia does. They play a lot of man-to-man defense. So can he maybe get loose if they lose contain or something to get an edge pressure where the guy comes inside and he can get outside and pick up 10 yards on a scramble play. Sure. Like those would be big, hidden yardage type things to where, getting a big first down to extend the drive or whatever. But Pearsall's got to come up big, and Eugene Wilson, I think, needs to really be, I think he needs to get a lot of touches, get him the ball in the backfield, whatever you can do to get him the ball. He's kind of like the way Brashard Smith looks right now. He's the way Zachariah Branch looks for USC. They look different. They look different when they have the ball. So in order to do that, all of that, and then hope that you can maybe create some run lanes for ETN, but Georgia, on the other hand, too, they haven't, really, their best win is Kentucky, where they played their best game. They got up for it because everybody was talking about Kentucky after they beat the hell out of Florida. And that game was a night game in Athens, and they got up for it and they played. Their other 2 or 3 SEC games, they played uninspiring. They didn't play great at Auburn, like we just said. They really didn't play great against even Vandy. They kind of let Vandy hang around for a little while. And then, they had those early games against really nobody, UT Martins and Bowling Green. So it's not even going back to the South Carolina game. They were down 14-3 at halftime and then wiped the floor with them in the second half. So
I think this is more of them just being uninterested.
Exactly. And I think that's where I think both of these teams better be slap-jacked on Saturday. I'm talking about.
They will be. I think that won't be for this game. I don't think that will be a problem.
I don't think it will be a problem either. But if it is a problem for the Gators, that is a red flag number one. However we come out on the first 2 drives of the game, I'll be able to see what kind of team we're looking at, and so hopefully we come out inspired, the script's good, all that stuff. But I mean, like I say, hopefully Billy's got a couple tricks. I mean, this is the type of game where you got to have something to beat the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah. If you could come out you guys could come out like how OU did against Texas, you might have an opportunity where they just came out firing all cylinders and hitting Ewers and all of that. I mean, if they could get, which is a hard thing to get past that Georgia offensive line and hitting Carson around and stopping that run game. Like you say, the run game isn't the greatest, like compared to the last couple of years, but it's going to be an interesting game. I'm curious to see what Billy calls for this game because, like you say, all conventional wisdom goes out the window. In a sense, you gotta do those double passes, those double reverses, or hidden ball trick, or whatever the hell you want to call trick plays and all of that. And then on defense, be sound defense and disciplined enough that to know, hey, Georgia may throw one of those weird plays at you, and can the safety stay deep?
I guarantee you they're going to do a flea flicker like Kirby does that like all the time in a big game or something.
Don't get sucked in too far if you're the safeties, and next thing you know, the guy's running behind you. So
yeah, I'm hoping
that goes both. I think that goes both ways.
No, for sure. And I'm hoping. I want Armstrong. Here's the thing, and I'll say this. You know me, I'm the aggressive coach. I want like this. You're playing the number one team in the country. You got a chance to knock them off. You hope that you're on even parallels. Georgia's probably got the better roster. Obviously, they got the better players.
Yeah.
They've had the better team the last several years. So what do you got to do to beat the number one team in the country? You get a shot. This is you get to compete in this game. Like, so this is the type of games you come to Florida and Georgia for. You get to play on this big stage. You want to knock this team off. There's nothing more, like I said earlier. If you go 10-2, but you don't beat Georgia, there's nothing more that I would want is to walk out of that stadium Saturday night and be like, hell yes, we just knocked Georgia's ass off. That would be great. But it's going to take Billy designing some good plays, being aggressive, taking shots. What he did last year, they said, I want to say it was going back to the Tennessee game. They talked about his play calling in that game and how he was perfect on the analytics and like when you should go for it, when you should take the chances and all that. And it gave him like a 6% chance better opportunity to win the game because they went for this and they converted and they extended plays to keep it tight. Last year Georgia blitzed us early. I was happy that they fought back in it, but it was a one score game, an 8-point game, late in the third quarter. But never in my mind did I think, all right, yeah, we got a chance to come back in here because as soon as you did that, Georgia right down the field, running the ball, physical game, boom, right back up to a big win. So I'm hoping that Billy is aggressive in the play call, opens up that offense, and like I say, Mertz has got to do it. It's on Mertz now, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Mertz being like, this is on you, buddy. Like you've shown us through 7 games, like it looks like you're up to the task. Now maybe not have the best accuracy. I mean, we do have good accuracy. Maybe just don't have the best deep ball or strongest arm. I would say you don't have a laser like Carson Beck's got a laser. He can throw that thing. So just take what the game gives you, Graham Mertz, and hit some of those shot plays, be consistent in your other plays, and hopefully the development and better play of like Boardingham. Boardingham's been big the last couple of weeks, so hopefully his involvement is going to be big for the offense. Khalil Jackson, I need you to make a big catch on the sideline or something. And then flip side defense, Armstrong, let's go. Like let's let it hang out. Let's make Carson Beck beat us. They don't have their best guy in Brock Bowers. Get in there, run blitz them, get after Beck and make him make some throws. And then, like I say, see what happens, see where you're at in the fourth quarter, but hopefully it's not 21-0 like it was 2 years ago where you're like, game's over, So it's all predicated on, what kind of starts you have. Like two levels of thought here. Florida's fast start against Tennessee, they were able to front run. Florida's piss poor shit start in Lexington, game over. So you gotta find a balance between those two, maybe, so where you can sustain, kind of like last week. It was just a shoot them up, punch them out against South Carolina. Now, granted, Georgia is way better in South Carolina, but that's the type of game you need to get into, and hopefully, you can do that. But what's your score prediction? What do you think the score is going to be?
I think it'd be like 37-20, Georgia.
17. So
somewhere around there.
Yeah, like I say, we're close. I think Florida covers, but I think it's like I say, I'm thinking 34-23. So that's like 11, 34-20. 34-20, they missed the hook. So I'm somewhere in that neighborhood. I think Georgia, I think they're just a better team. So but nothing surprises me, baby. So hopefully
I think the Georgia team this year just reminds you kind of an anaconda where that grip ain't tight yet, and you have your opportunities to get in there. And as they start constricting, that's when they're, like you said, in the South Carolina game.
Yeah, South Carolina and Auburn had their chance. Like that,
and then
Here's what
you
this
know.
is what I'm hoping. This is what I'm ultimately hoping for. I'm hoping we get into an Auburn fight with them, and Auburn's offense is terrible.
Well,
Like
that's why I said QB run game.
Right. So my thing is hopefully Mertz is completing passes,
Yeah.
and as the flip side, and maybe we can get the running game going. But more
Probably gotta get those
so,
quick passing.
yeah,
Quick
more
passing game.
so what basically won the game for if, in my opinion, if Brock Bowers doesn't play in that Auburn game, they'd lose that game
I
because he
agree.
was that big
Yeah.
of a guy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 5 catches for like 150 yards and the big touchdown late. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody else really stepped up, and their offense kind of was stagnant in that game.
But
So
I think after that though, their offense kind of picked
oh,
it up like
it definitely
guys.
got better.
But yeah, like I say, I think when you have your opportunities as Florida, you got to take them. Because like I say, as the game goes on, that's when Georgia just gets better, and they're just going to wait for you to make the mistake because they're not going to make the mistake. They're just waiting on you. As soon as you make that mistake, where you fumble the ball at the 50, and they'll pick it up and go 15 yards. The next thing you know, they only got to score, and they got 30 yards to score.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why I
like I say,
say if
Beck,
you're Florida, you want to
we
play
need to
on their
force
side of the field.
we need to force Beck
Yeah,
into
some bad throws.
I'm hoping, like I say, it's got to be in there. Carson Beck,
Yeah.
come on, man. You went to
Yeah,
Providence.
I'm sure he's going to be jacked up coming home to be the starter for the first time back in Duval. So, I mean, yeah, he's probably gonna have some juice on that ball his first couple passes.
I need him to airmail
he
one.
settles in. Yeah,
I need to airmail one to the safety.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we really the only other game to really talk about,
Yep.
dive into is the other 3:30 game opposite of the Florida Georgia game is Oregon at Utah. Utah coming off the big win against USC. Oregon guy was in a little dogfight with Wazoo, but kind of flexed their muscle late. Wazoo's still a good team, but Oregon has been my favorite team in the Pac-12 this year. And like I said, going on the road, definitely playing at Utah is a tough environment. And Utah is good. So my thing, will Utah have any hangover from their win against USC? And how good is that Utah D versus this Bo Nix led Oregon attack?
I think Oregon's going to win the game. I think they're going to win. They're going to cover it at 7. I just don't think Utah's offense is going to be good enough to keep up with Oregon. I could see it being kind of like that Oregon State game where the score won't wow you, but Oregon State did enough to beat them. Just in their run game, it wasn't anything special. They got the lead and just kind of put them away. And I think Oregon's going to do the same thing. I think they're going to run the ball with James and Irving, and Bo Nix is going to put them in the right place. We've been laughing and joking about it. This isn't the same Bo Nix at Auburn, and Oregon's defense is pretty good. They're pretty good. So I just
that's where I think the game's going to be. I think Oregon's defense is. I mean, it might not be legit like Penn State and Ohio State style defense, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
they play complementary to their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing, in my opinion, too, with the Pac-12 teams is Utah's one of them. But I think, like you said, Oregon State and Oregon, we talk about the quarterbacks and all that, but those are the teams that really run the ball well. So what do? If you can run the ball well and you play good defense, you're going to have a good recipe for winning. And I think that's the combination they have, along with a good defense. So, and a good quarterback play from Bo Nix with their weapons as well. So I think Oregon, this is definitely a big time game, big time atmosphere. Utah, hell, they control their own destiny too with the Pac-12. They get to play. They get to play the rest of those teams. They got beat a couple weeks ago, but I still think Oregon is the team that I think I still thought Oregon was the team that I thought would win it.
They're still
like I say, I thought that, hey, we'd have a winner take all Oregon Washington rematch. We're still in line for that, but like I say, Utah definitely still has something to say, and even the Oregon States of the world. So these last 4 or 5 weeks of that,
it's going to be fun.
Schedule is going to be good in the Pac-12 to find out who's going to go to that game in Vegas. But
what do you think the score is going to be in this one?
I'm looking at the neighborhood of like a 30 to 17, 30 to 20, somewhere around there.
Yeah, about the same.
Oregon,
they cover and all.
It's like I say, it's right at the over under. The over under's 49, so 30 to 20.
I just think Oregon. I know, going back to the UW game, I picked UW. I think Oregon, and like I say, Bo Nix has definitely impressed me, and he's going to put that offense in the best situations to where they're not going to really turn the ball over like that. Especially when you got a Troy Franklin and a Tez Johnson on the outside, and those tight ends and that running game. And like I say, for Oregon, they're just going to run it. They're just going to be Oregon. Yeah. That's the simplest way to. And Dan Lanning is a hell of a good coach.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I say, that there's some other games, but we don't need to talk about them. We'll talk about those next week, maybe if there's a big one. I mean, there's a few top 20 matchups like Duke and Louisville.
One I am curious about is Oregon State at Zona, at Arizona.
I'm intrigued by that one. That could be good because Arizona's been on a hot streak. They've been on a little heater. Oregon State's been your sleeper team that you like out there. So I definitely would like to see how much Arizona has, emerged, because a win by Arizona there would be huge, all of a sudden.
And they've been playing tough. They've been playing tough against all the big boys that they've played so far this season.
The other team who's kind of figured it out too is UCLA. Like I say, they get your boy Dion this week. So
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that line's like 20 something too.
Is it in LA or in Colorado?
I think it's in LA too.
I think UCLA is gonna be tough for them to get those two games. We already.
I think like I say, I think UCLA is playing some good football. Anyways.
Yeah, no, they are. All right,
well, it's time to get to the portion of our favorite segment of the show, the top 10 power rankings, brought to you by. We don't have a sponsor here, but that would be somebody wants to sponsor us.
That'd be nice.
Happy Dads or HelloFresh, somebody,
anybody.
All right, dog. You go first and give me your there shouldn't be too much changes. I mean, obviously some teams like North Carolina was in my top 10.
It's a little change. It's a little change this week. This week.
All right, who you got, dog? Who you got? Run them down for me.
At number 1.
You going from 1 to 10? All right, let's go. Yeah, let's go 1 to 10. Don't go
1 to 10, or you want me to go 10 to 1?
I go 1 to 10. That's how I like to do it that way.
Number 1, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 2,
right for an upset.
Yep. Number 2, your favorite team out west, the Florida State Seminoles. Nothing.
No comment.
The
question will I have? Where will I have Florida State? Is the question.
I know. The reason why I moved Florida State up, I just feel like another big win. Like you say, Duke's probably going to have another loss or two. We get that. We understand that. But at the time, they beat the number 16 team in the country. Can't fault them for that. Riley Leonard, if he plays the rest of the year, they could potentially finish the season with only 2 losses. I think that was still a big win for Florida State. There's still a lot of things for them they need to work on and clean up. But we can't punish them for beating the teams they're beating on their schedule. And I just feel like I had to drop Michigan because Michigan hasn't played anybody yet. I mean, I could even sit here and say, well, at least Georgia's played Kentucky. Yeah. Michigan hasn't played anyone with a pulse. So
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So I got
Michigan.
Yeah. At number 3, I got Ohio State. I got Ohio State leaping them because, like I said, as much as it was a snooze fest and I complained about the game and how bad it was, and Penn State, they still beat a top 10 team. They beat a top 10 team. Some people could argue and say, hey, why isn't Ohio State number 2 over Florida State? But like I say, I think Penn State and Duke are almost comparable in a sense.
Whoa there, buddy. Penn State would beat the hell out of Duke.
I'm just saying comparable. I mean, with a healthy Riley Leonard, I don't put anything out of the number. I mean,
if Maserati Marv played for Penn State, who would have won that game Saturday?
Well, hell, that makes a big difference because he actually has someone to throw to.
I'm just asking. So does Penn State if Penn State had a guy like Marvin Harrison on their team and not Ohio State?
I think
Penn State wins that game.
Yeah, I think Drew he has no one to throw it to. Who the hell is he throwing it to?
No, he doesn't have any.
He doesn't have really any game breakers.
That's what James is trying to recruit. The sad part about it is he just can't get the full complement because his stud running backs will be gone by the time you get a star receiver.
And guess what? It is what it is.
Yeah,
we're talking about right now. We're not talking about the future.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I got OSU number 3. I put Michigan at 4. UW I still got at 5, even though it was a hairy win. They got the win.
Yeah.
OU at 6, Oregon at 7. I still got Texas at 8 over Bama. I just couldn't put Bama over Texas just because of the head-to-head.
No, you can't.
And then my sleeper team out west, Oregon State at number 10.
All right. I'm feeling you on that.
Yep.
My number 1 team in the country is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. They're ripe for an upset. Number 2, I've got the Ohio State University.
Okay.
Because how you're saying that Florida State's big wins are LSU, Clemson, who's going to lose 5 games now, and Duke, who's going to whatever. I think Ohio State has a more impressive resume with beating Notre Dame, Maryland, and Penn State. But like I say, we're splitting hairs here.
Maryland is an impressive win.
Yeah, I think Maryland would beat Duke. I think they're comparable if you want to compare them. It's just that Duke's ranked, and they won't be ranked anymore.
Yeah.
But again, Riley Leonard is a healthy Riley Leonard. Hell, a healthy Riley Leonard. Who knows what happens in the fourth quarter of that Florida State game? But again,
I agree. That I totally agree with that.
Like I wish that's where
that's the thing. If you look at his numbers, they're not impressive. They aren't. It's ugly.
That's where like I say, Florida State. It's like the gods are shining on Florida State. I know I've said it. Their schedule set up.
But sometimes you need that though.
Yeah, you got that's
a lot of teams
in football. It's better to be lucky and have breaks than anything. Like that's how you win national titles. Like I say, So
I mean, we're before people get crazy, we're not sitting there saying Florida State should to win a national championship.
But they've had
years past.
The way the season has projected for them is like you had your big early games, you got those out of the way.
Yeah.
You're playing your next toughest game at home with a quarterback who's hurt. Then you're playing 2 duck games before you play your rival in Miami. Your biggest then challenge is going on the road to Gainesville. It was not very good. Like by the time they play the Gators, we'll have 5 losses. So, but anyway, so Ohio State, I got at number 2. Number 3, I got the Michigan Wolverines. Now here's the kicker. Who's at 4?
Hold on. Say that again. You got
Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan.
Michigan at 4. At 3, sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
At 4, welcome to the college football playoff, Florida State. You made it into the top 4 officially. I had to move Washington down just because of their lackluster performance on offense.
Is someone paying you? Or are you getting a sponsorship?
Now you know what I'm putting the train on Florida State now. You're gonna screw up and lose. Florida State. I should shoot you up to number 1 because you played such a tough schedule. But Florida State, you were at number 4. You were in the college football playoff. You control your own destiny. Good luck to you.
All right.
Washington, OU, Texas, Oregon, Bama, Penn State is my.
You still got Penn State in the top 10.
Yeah, because like I say, I think I want to see what Penn State like. Why am I going to dock them for basically playing in a banger against the number 2 ranked team in the country? Those are 2 of the best defenses, and we'll see. Like, let's see what they got against Michigan in 2 weeks.
I just think they're the 2 best defenses because they haven't played any damn body with a pulse.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's the thing, man.
They shut Notre Dame's ass out, who scored a ton of points on USC, who ain't got
most of those were defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Again, for Notre Dame, I mean, they scored 40, and we could say 20 of those were defense special teams.
Yeah.
Or a short field. I mean, you get the ball at the 10. Yeah. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I know. Like
I say, I'm not poo-pooing you having Penn State at 10. It's just I haven't been impressed with the Big Ten. Like I say, next year I can't wait because then they actually have to play teams.
Yeah, no.
But this year their schedules are it's just atrocious to sit there and watch their schedules. But
that's what I'm saying. They played West Virginia, Delaware, Illinois, Iowa, Northwestern, UMass, and Ohio State. They cakewalked their way to 6. Put it this way. They play literally Maryland and Michigan after this week. They play Indiana, then they play Maryland and Michigan. So Penn State, let's see where you're at. They might lose those 2 games, and I'll be like, well, guess what? Penn State sucks.
Yeah.
Like I say, but
we'll see.
Until I see it to where I still think they're a really good team.
No, I get it.
Like I say, because I still think Drew Allers is going to grow up and be.
Yeah, for sure. But he can't win the game by himself.
No, definitely not. Like I say, you got to have they need to get back to what they do good. Run the freaking ball. Like you got Caleb Singleton and you got,
I wonder if they got out of their game plan because they felt like they couldn't run the football.
I literally think that's what happened. Like you literally have Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, and like you literally handed them the ball 18 times, 9 times a piece, and just said, "Well, we can't run it on Ohio State. They're too good."
I think that's
your number 1. No, that's dumb.
You still got to run the ball, even if you only average 1.2 yards. You still got to try and run the football. Because, like you say, with those, or be creative in the run game, pass game with them, and
yeah. No, like I say, it's this is the round robin session of their schedule, and we'll see what happens. So, it is what it is. Like I say, they get to play these games, and we'll find out who's top
Yeah,
10 worthy.
like you said, these last 4 weeks are going to be crucial for a lot of these teams.
Yep. So, like I said, I guess that concludes this session of our show. Like I say, we got some good games on the slate. A couple, like our teams your two teams should win. The Gators, maybe we could pull the upset. I'm hoping for the upset. So, if you like the show, comment on who should have went for it on 4th down or not against Duke and Florida State. Which
side are you on?
That's what I'm saying. I get one comment out there. Somebody comment out there. One. I just need one text.
And don't say,
I'm
on Sponge's side or Faro's side. Give us a reason why you think you're on that side.
Because the quarterback stinks or whatever. So, like I say, we appreciate all the followers and listeners, and thanks for sticking with us. And like I say, we're out of here for a week 9 edition, and we'll see you next week. Yo, go Gators.